The warning for turntable 2. Standing by for house to half with lights 105. Standing by for house out with lights 110. Standing by lights 112 and Vista 11. Standing by for our audio up. Lights 112 and Vista 11, go!
Now the seats are all empty. Let the roadies take the stage. Pack it up and tear it down.
I am a production manager, technical director, and stage manager. And we coordinate stuff. We don't really do anything. We actually just facilitate other people doing stuff.
We create the environment. We create a certain amount of illusion. We create a sort of smooth, seamless flow of things.
Which is coordinating the lighting, the scenic, the video, the audio, the labor for business meetings, for parties, for press events, and I don't do weddings.
But as a technical director, you had a quasi-knowledge, or it helped, of electrics, and in many cases, plumbing, in case something was wrong in the theater. To be able to rehang a door to the producer's office and, put up new mirrors. But mostly, you were in charge of building the show.
I'm here to reinforce whatever the client wants to see, hopefully add a little art into that they might appreciate. Sometimes they do or don't. And we put the show on and make sure it happens from point A to B and get us out of here clean.
I don't know what I do. You got to look at the business card I just gave you.
So I started working rock and roll shows in 1970, 71, and went from high school into Bill Graham's organization.
I started in June of '68, and I went to work for ACT at their little warehouse down on Napoleon Street in San Francisco. And we were making $2.85 an hour, and we were happy campers because we had lots of money.
I always wanted to be in the theater, even when I was a kid. I never thought I would do it. Matter of fact, in high school, I joined the National Guard because then I was going to join the Army just to get the hell out of town. But things change, and started doing semi-professional theater back home and meeting all these wonderful actors. I'm still stage struck, probably always will be.
I went to the opera. I spent 5 years at the San Francisco Opera, both at the scene shop and in the opera house itself. And then I started working film, and my first film was Bullet.
Steve McQueen.
And then Petulia. And from there I did 3 Dirty Harrys that were done here in San Francisco. And then I got on Streets of San Francisco, and I was the only San Francisco local person that did every episode for all 5 years. So it's been a pretty cool run.
It's certainly not in any way, shape, or form a 9-to-5 job.
When we were doing rock and roll, it was 5 cities in a week. And I'm sure it still happens with a lot of smaller shows, but so you were working 18, 20 hours a day. I mean, you're sleeping on the airplanes
For
or
8
sleeping
weeks.
in the sleeper of the trucks until that stopped.
And sometimes you're there all night, and you're bleary-eyed and still trying to drink coffee when the audience walks in, but that happens. And there's other times when you're done at 5 o'clock the night before, and you go to the bar and have a beer, go swimming in the hotel swimming pool, go have a nice dinner and go to bed. But those aren't too often.
When I was a gypsy and got married, we had a baby, is that the family was tighter when we traveled from theater to theater. Pack up everything in 1957 Buick, the largest automobile you ever saw, and room for everybody.
I came back from Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, 10 weeks. I had enough money to buy a color TV, and that was it. And I couldn't move for a couple weeks.
I think the crazy challenges, the crazy requests, like putting a car on top of a tower and spinning it around and hanging a car off the side of a tower, and so how are you going to do that? The challenges.
I do think the fun part is having problems.
We did Liberty Weekend when they rededicated the Statue of Liberty. I had a crew of 250 guys, and the first or the second Friday we were there in New Jersey, the project manager made the mistake of coming out at lunchtime and giving everybody their checks, and out of 250 guys, I got 22 back Friday afternoon. I think we learned a lesson there. We didn't do that again.
It's not fun when it's happening, but it's what keeps it. Yeah, it's part of it. It's what keeps it going. It's what you're there for. That's one of the things. Is it's what you're there for.
There was a hurricane on the way, but we decided to. The producers said, you know, load in and set up, and we'll see what happens. So we loaded in, and we started to set up, and we got almost completely through the setup, and we were, you know, everybody else was like, okay, do we check out the AV, you know, do we focus the screens yet? You know, what do we do? Because it was getting closer and closer and closer. It's that old deadline thing, you know, there's so much to be done if we're going to start this show tomorrow at noon. We can't really wait, we can't really stop, but what are we going to do? It's on its way, it's on its way. We ended up pulling everything down in 25.5 minutes, throwing it onto the trucks, and getting the hell out of there. The family of theater, they're theater families. And this is something that I think is so hard for our own families and friends to understand. If you're lucky, you join a group of people to do something. Either you're a performer, you're a technician, you're an artist, you're a designer, and you form incredibly strong bonds. And when it's over, it's heartbreaking to say goodbye. It's really, really hard to wave goodbye to, because you've been like this through thick and thin and the most ridiculous and bizarre circumstances. And people have just saved your butt all around you, and you for them. And there's no reason on earth why they would do it other than the fact that we're all in this thing that we love so much to do together.
The thing I think I'll miss most is the camaraderie of the people I work with and for. And some people I only work with once in my life. And some people we work together many times over the years.
The theater as family is what, or any event as family. Exactly. Theater, circus, a rock show. That's part of the allure for me, the camaraderie. I really enjoyed. Even this little bit of group here that we're together. This is the most important part to me. You know, whoever happens to be watching this, fine. But I'm having a good time with you three guys. And the same thing is when you're doing an opera, when you're doing a play, you know, when you're doing something in the Astrodome. It's just, you know, this little army of friends.
It is magic.
You work with a lot of good creative people. I mean, we don't do it ourselves. So it starts with concept, goes to design, and then it's all the people that help create it. So, and their tricks, you know, turn off the lights.
That's a good one.
Everything looks good in the dark.
If you go to a concert and see those 85-foot towers with scrims on them and lights all up and so on, people don't think that somebody actually went up there and hung all those lights or hung those scrims or had to build the scaffold. Start there when it's still unsecure. It's not all bolted together yet. And you're up 80 feet in the air and a little breeze comes up, it'll move you 6-8 feet.
Most people sitting in an audience watching are not aware of the fact that there are people making all this stuff happen other than the person standing on stage speaking or the musical going on or the dancers and the singers. Because I think the moment that the lights go out and the curtain opens, that's when the magic starts.
Al and I happened to come along at a time when this business was being invented. It's just really good to look back and go, you know, I had a little part of that. I wasn't a big, you know, I wasn't a big cheese. You know, I didn't do anything revolutionary, but I had a little piece of something that it was a real special place to be.
We're starting to relive it too, with all the old road dogs that are still alive.
No, it's just, It's just the most wonderful business I can think of. I've met wonderful people, I've met people that aren't so wonderful, but for the most part, I've met wonderful people.
Great times, great memories. And I got off the road soon enough.
Stagehands have to be the greatest storytellers there are, but 90% of them are dead true.
What we do is way special, honey. Don't ever let anybody tell you otherwise.
They'll set it up in another town. Tonight